All right, let's pull back the curtain on some of that invisible magic that powers, well, pretty much every app you use. We're going to talk about APIs, these secret little conversations that are happening behind every single tap on your screen.
I mean, think about it, right? You're just scrolling, you see a pair of headphones you kind of like, you tap it, and bam! Instantly you've got the price, the description, photos, the whole shebang. How does that happen so fast? That is the exact question we are going to dive into today.
So, to really get a handle on this, let's use a super simple analogy. Imagine the app you're using is a restaurant, okay? You're the customer, obviously. And the API, well, think of the API as your very own super efficient digital waiter.
So when you tap on that product, you are basically placing an order. But, and this is the key part, your phone's app doesn't actually have all that information stored on it. Can you imagine? It'd be crazy inefficient. Instead, it has to go ask for it from the main kitchen, which is, the company's powerful computer, or what we call a server.
And that right there is exactly what an API is. Yeah, the acronym stands for Application Programming Interface, but forget that. Just think of it as a messenger. It's the waiter, the one who takes your order, sprints to the kitchen, tells the chefs precisely what you want, and then hustles that finished dish right back to your table.
Okay, but here's the thing. For this whole system to work, you can't just yell your order across the restaurant, right? The waiter needs a very, very specific structured request so the kitchen knows exactly what to do. It's all about crafting the perfect question.
And in the tech world, this super specific question has a name. It's called an API request. And we're not talking about a casual chat here. No. This is a formal, precisely worded instruction. There is absolutely zero room for confusion. It's like you're filling out a super detailed order form.
And every single one of these requests is built from three main parts. First, you've got the method. That's the action you want to take. Then there's the endpoint. That's where you're going. And finally, the parameters. Those are all the nitty-gritty details. Let's break them down.
All right, first up, the method. The most common one you'll see is get. And it's exactly what it sounds like. The app is just asking to get information. It's not trying to change anything in the kitchen. It just wants to see the menu. In our case, it just wants to get the details for those headphones.
Next up is the endpoint. Think of this as the specific address for your request. It's a URL. Look at the structure here. It's like telling the waiter, hey, go to the main kitchen, find the products department, and get ready to look for a specific product. It's a super precise location.
And last but not least, we have the parameters. These are the juicy details of your order. So the product ID, that's required. It's the unique number for our headphones. But the locale, that's optional. It just tells the server if we want the info in, say, English or French. It's literally the difference between ordering a steak and ordering a medium rare steak with a side of fries. See? Details matter.
So let's put it all together, shall we? The app sends a GET request. That's our method. It sends it to the API v1 products/products endpoint. That's our address. And it's asking for product 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the language set to English. Those are our parameters. And there you have it. That is the complete, perfect question that our digital waiter is taking to the kitchen.
But hold on a second. Before the kitchen even thinks about starting to cook, there is one absolutely crucial security step. Our waiter has to prove they're even allowed to be back there. This is what we call the authentication handshake.
I mean, it makes sense, right? The server isn't just going to hand out its valuable data to anyone who asks. It needs to know for sure that the request is coming from a legit source, like the official app being used by a real logged-in user. And this whole verification process, that's authentication.
So how does it prove it's you? With something called a bearer token. It's often a type of token called a JWT, but don't worry about that. Just think of it like a secret key, or maybe even better, a digital membership card. When you log into the app, you get this token. And from then on, you have to flash that card with every single request you make to prove, yep, it's really you.
Now, if that request shows up without a valid token, or maybe with an expired one, the server doesn't even bother looking at the order. Nope, it just immediately sends back an error. A 401 authentication failed is the perfect digital equivalent of a bouncer at a club looking at you and saying, sorry, you're not on the list. Access denied.
Okay, so our request is perfectly written, we've shown our membership card, and the bouncer let us in. We're golden. Now, the server, our digital chef, takes our order and goes to check the pantry, which is really its database, to see if it even has what we're asking for. And at this point, as the chef checks the pantry, there are really only two ways this can go. They either find exactly what they need for your order, or the shelf is totally empty.
So if the server searches its entire database top to bottom, and it just cannot find a product with the ID 1234.5, it sends back a very, very famous number. I'm almost certain you've seen this one before. Yep, it's a 404.
A 404 error, usually with a little message like "product not found," is just the server's polite way of saying, "Hey, sorry, we looked everywhere, but we are fresh out of that item." The waiter comes back to your table completely empty-handed.
But let's not dwell on that. Let's go down the happy path. Let's say the server did find the product, everything checks out, and it's all good. Now it's time to cook up that dish and send it right back to your table.
And boom, here it is. The server sends back this perfectly structured chunk of data. Now remember, this isn't a web page. Not yet. It's just the raw ingredients, the product's name, its price, the currency, and, super important, its availability. Everything is neatly organized, all ready to be served.
And here's the final, crucial step. Your app gets this raw data, and then it does the final piece of the puzzle. It basically becomes a food stylist, taking all those raw ingredients and arranging them into that beautiful, easy-to-read product page you see on your screen. And just like that, the whole journey from tap to display is complete.
So there you have it. We've just followed one single tap all the way from your finger to a server and back again. But why does this one little conversation even matter? Why is it so important to understand? Well, let's zoom out and look at the big picture.
When it comes down to it, APIs are basically the glue holding the modern internet together. They are these invisible messengers that let totally different apps talk to each other without a problem. Think about it. When you check the weather, book a flight, or stream a movie, you are using APIs. And that simple GET product request we just walked through, that is happening millions, probably billions of times every single day, all across the globe.
Look, we just unpacked one single, simple conversation. But right now, as you're watching this, your phone is having dozens of these conversations every single second. So the next time you tap or swipe or pull to refresh, just take a second and think about that. What other secret messages, what other API calls are your apps sending out into the world on your behalf?